Hi, my name's Sandi Mellon. I'm the officer in charge of Water Police.
Hi, I'm Senior Constable Sarah Mitchell, based at Humperdoo Police Station, general duties.
Well, I joined as a 20-year-old. I did it straight away. It was 25 years ago now, and I wanted a job where it wasn't the same thing every single day. I didn't want to be stuck in a job where I was just doing the same thing every single day. And Mentorship certainly has given me that, no matter what role I've done, really. What about you?
I wanted a change in my career, and I wanted to work with Aboriginal people, so I studied for a different career and just couldn't get into that, so looked at this, wanted to help people, wanted to work with Aboriginal people. We had actually planned to go travelling for 2 years, and I went, I'll just try and get in the police, I won't get in, and I got in, and here I am.
So what was your job before?
I was quality assurance in a rice factory prior to that, in the meat industry, so my background's meat
Wow, that's
industry.
completely different. I think there's so many highlights in my career, but I guess with the highlights there comes the low. You know, you're there for people's absolute worst day of their lives, and sometimes you're there for their best days.
Yeah, I think the people that we meet, like colleagues
100%.
and people, and just seeing when you have helped somebody, even after a bad situation, that you're there for them to give them a cuddle.
I agree. I think in my 25 years I've made such lifelong friends and friendships, and you know, talking about the police family is you know, it's so true. It's not just a cliche, it's not just something people say, it really is a family. Like, we all support each other and stand up for each other.
I think because we're a smaller police force, we can do that, and we do know each other and we look out for each other, so we're proud of what we do. But yeah, I think it's the highlight is that we're there for each other.
Well, for me, I think and reflecting on what's the best thing about my job is just seeing the absolute joy that people have to come to work here. It's, you know, people say it's the best section in the police force, you know, and you really see that in the people that come to work. They're so happy about what they do, and they're so keen to get involved and amongst it, and it makes my job so much better to see how happy people are to come to work and do a job that they love doing.
For me, obviously, I came in on a 3 month secondment, so I'm back in general duties now, and that was absolutely fantastic. I never thought I'd get the chance to come in. I got welcomed with open arms. The guys here and the girls here have been absolutely fantastic, teaching me things. But teamwork is totally different from GDs, and like you say, it was great coming to work every morning, doing different things. Like it's good
camaraderie.
Small unit, it's a fantastic place to work, definitely.
I think the thing about bias is that often people don't realise that they have them, and I think the really important thing to do, especially I guess if you're talking about women in policing, is challenge those biases, but in a non-confrontational way seems to be the most effective way, because, you know, like I said, people don't realise they have them until they'll say something, and you'll say, hey, you know, why did you say that, or that's, you know, then they sort of start thinking about their own perceptions and beliefs, and I think that's the most important way to get over.
Yeah, I agree. It's generally people are not meaning to say things, they're not being derogatory. I think that's a good thing about the AT police. We don't have that, or I haven't come across that, and we've been lucky. But it's just in general conversations sometimes that something slips out, or somebody says something, and then when you say, you know, hey, do you understand what you're saying, or do you mean it that way?
Yeah, I often like to deal with it in a bit of a humour way. You know, I've had conversations with male colleagues where they said, I've told them to stop being such a girl, and then, you know, bring on laughs, and I go, what do you mean by that? And they sort of, you know, it's the, what do I mean by that?
Yeah. I think sometimes there's just, without realising, sometimes there's an expectation or a comment sometimes that women, you know, not strong enough. So I suppose coming into this section, the guys definitely not thinking that way, but speaking to other people in the police force when I got the secondment were like, oh, you're a female, what do you know about boats, the maintenance, and it's like, well, that's what you go in there to learn. You don't go into a small section or any section as an expert.
So I guess when we talk specifically about water police, it's something that we've talked about as a culture and a society that, boys are brought up around boats and, their dad takes them out fishing, and that's something that boys have been steered towards, and whereas it doesn't seem to be a female type role traditionally to get out in the boats and stuff. So there is that perception that that what would a woman know about boating and doing all that sort of stuff. So it goes back to that fundamental community policing model where we reflect the community, and having women in water police is saying that we are reflecting the community, that women can do these things, that it's not just about men. And as you've touched on, the men equally in water police are 100% behind that. They're the ones that are pushing it, you know. They want to see that diversity.
Team in here to help. And,
that diversity is so important. Yeah. I'd like to see a lot more acceptance of the differences between men and women. I think that there's a real appetite for seeing more women leaders and more women in small units like the water police. I think that we really need to move towards more accepting of the differences between them. So not looking to have women leaders but expecting them to behave like a man, and equally not expecting men to behave like men. And so I think there's a difficulty there with both men and women, that if men want to soften, there's that fear of being judged for being too soft, and equally for women, if they're soft, then they're judged for not being aggressive enough. So
it's letting us be true to ourselves and who we are, not expecting people to change to fit a stereotype or a model, because everybody brings in different things, and let us be who we are. I think since I joined the NT Police, I think we've done really well to change. I think lead by example. I always look to a leader that's the person who I would aspire to be. Confidence, kindness, but be truthful and stay that's who you are. I think be very true to yourself and stay when you're at our level, and don't change to move up. And I think that's important for me. Yeah, as a leader's got a job to do, but I think you're there for us down at this level to aspire to be.
I think for me, the most important qualities I think for a leader is having courage and compassion. Sometimes the right thing to do is also the hard thing to do, and that takes a lot of courage to do that. And I also think that, and in my experience, is that having compassion for people is really important. I think if you genuinely care about people, that they will follow you wherever you need them to. In my experience, that's been the most important thing. This is quite an interesting question to answer, because I think that when I think about that, my immediate response is, oh, I'm none of those. When in actual fact, I'm all of those. But the conversations that we have with ourselves is quite interesting, that dialogue you have in your head about the kind of person you are. So I think that, I can be all of those things, but it's a difficult thing to think of yourself in such a positive light. So
I think I agree. I think there's an aspect that you're a little bit of everything. You try to be a little bit of everything. I think for myself, I am an achiever. Just being from young, set goals to do what I wanted to do. In my career, moved to Australia, and I set myself a challenge. And usually it's an uncomfortable challenge, but I like to achieve.
I I have a mentor. I've been doing a mentor program through the NT government, which has been extremely satisfying and rewarding. And I met an amazing person through that who was my mentor. And she is a gay person, and she has broken so many biases. I just am in complete awe of her. And she's not a police officer, which was really important to get a different perspective. But I've just been completely enriched by that relationship. So
for me, it's my sister. Like, she lives in the UK, but when my dad passed away, like, we come from our family background was a very male-dominated industry with our businesses, and she took over Dad's business. Had a little girl who was 26, born at 26 weeks, when she was 42. She still runs Dad's business in a heavily male-dominated, and she just gets on with it. And when I'm feeling down or anything like that, I just look at her and it's just like, she's so strong and proven that females can run a business in a male-dominated with a little baby and just do anything that she wants to do. And then I see her little girl now, and I'm just like, that fire comes from your mother, like, definitely. But she's helped me through a lot with my job when I'm struggling. She is the person that I go to, and she helps me see perspective and, you know, stay strong, be who you are, be true to yourself, and just have the courage to keep going.
So she's obviously helped you
Yeah.
become who you are today. So she's done a great
I'm
job.
the little sister, so
She's done a good job.
Yeah.
I would say stop talking to yourself like that. That's what I would say. If somebody talked to us the way that we speak to ourselves, and young girls, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. If we spoke to somebody else the way we speak to ourselves, they wouldn't be our friend anymore. So why is it okay for us to speak to ourselves like that? And the other thing I would say is having it all is a complete myth. So stop trying to achieve it, because I've got 4 kids and I don't have it all. And I often get asked, like, oh, how do you know, I ran Darwin Station for 5 years and I had a little baby, and people would often say to me, like, how do you do it? I don't know how you do it. I'm just going, it's a facade. I don't have it all. I'm just doing the best I can.
That's where you have to be kind to yourself. Because you have got it all. You've got a family, you've got a job, good friends, what we've been talking about. So I think having that all is that, like you say, it's that perfect myth, and you're saying to yourself, I don't have it all, but really you do have it all. That's we have a big thing in our family, be true to yourself, and you've got each other, you've got kids, you know, like everything else doesn't matter as long as you're happy. But yeah, definitely to young people, to be kind to yourself, be courageous, but be kind. And I was speaking about this to my husband last night, and he was saying, you know, like, one thing that he always says to young people is, like, look, listen and learn. Like,
don't pull the ladder up after you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.